Greetings and welcome to episode 72 of the 4,000 question challenge. So this section right here is going to start out with some of like, what would you do if, and then the follow-up section each question is. So what would you do if you were at a party and people started gossiping about a friend who was not there? Well, it depends. If it was like good-natured stuff, harmless, I would probably join in. I'm human. But if it was dangerous and things, I would probably either call them on it or just bug out and then make sure that that person knew, don't trust those people. What would you do if your friend and his or her mate have a violent fight in your presence? I would probably break it up at the risk of my own health. And I would then tell them if one of them is most decidedly the aggressor and the other is the victim should immediately contact the police and get away from this person and never ever see them again. Because I don't care how close you are. You get violent with someone like that, you don't deserve contact with that person ever again. There's no going back from that in my book. What would you do if you feel a distance growing between you and a friend? I would do everything I could to close that distance. And maybe I can and maybe I can't. People's lives sometimes diverge. We're not going to stay friends with the same people forever. I've been very fortunate to keep a couple of people in my life that I've had there for a very long time. One since I was in 4th grade. So that's cool. Doesn't always happen. You're not guaranteed it. And you're not entitled to someone's presence in your life just because you want it. What would you do if someone insults a friend to your face? I'd call them on their bullshit and tell them to stop it. What would you do if a close friend gets arrested for theft? I would want to know the circumstances that caused them to steal. Was it absolute necessity? Was it feeding an addiction? Was it feeding a mental illness? Or did they do it for a lark? Depending on why they did it would determine my response. What would you do if your best friend has a weight problem? Well, if they're healthy, I would probably leave them alone. But if they seem to express that they were unhappy with it, for example, I need to lose some weight at the moment, I would help them in any way I could. So I'm going to make a really large effort not to fat shame them. And if they're healthy and they are happy with their form, it's none of my goddamn business. Do you remember the dates of your best friend's birthdays? I know my wife's, my mother's, and my father's. I know my sister's. And I think that's it. I don't think I know anybody else's birthdays. So the answer, I guess, would be no. Who has ever betrayed you? I've been betrayed by a number of people over the years. Some of who are still in my life and some of who aren't. Sometimes the betrayal played a big factor in that, and sometimes it didn't. But yeah, we all get betrayed. It's just the way it is. Would you commit perjury for a close friend? I would like to think I wouldn't. But again, I would have to know the circumstances. Because the world is not a cut and dried black and white place. There are lines I don't think I would cross. But I can't tell you for sure that I wouldn't. So, again, until I know the circumstances of the situation, and I knew that I trusted the person to believe them about the circumstances of the situation, I can't really answer that question. So, this has been the 72nd episode of the 4,000 Question Challenge, which was a slightly better ending than the last 2 episodes, which were somewhat dark and depressing. But it still wasn't what you'd call really upbeat. So I'm hoping maybe we get past this chapter that deals with friends and family, which unfortunately, it's got quite a ways to go. We're on page 56. 57 is my favorite number, by the way. And the next chapter doesn't start till 79. Oh, great. We got 20 more pages to go. Great. So I'm hoping that we get past that. The questions will be a little less deep and depressing. Some of these are really deep and depressing, and I can't imagine using them as icebreaker questions or getting to know someone questions. Some of these things are stuff that you just don't want to be asking. Flat out. It's none of your business until someone decides to reveal it to you. So, yeah, I do question some of the questions in this book and why they exist. and I'm still baffled by the fact that my wife told me um, that the person here that wrote this, Dr. Barbara Ann Kipfer, is a Buddhist, because some of these questions seem like things that a Buddhist just wouldn't write.